Did you know that the fossil fuels we mine in Alberta today were formed from the bodies of plankton that lived in an ancient sea that used to cover Alberta? So, we're going to learn today about how the petroleum that we find in Alberta is made. So, since the Ordovician period, microscopic marine organisms, mostly plankton, have been living and dying in warm tropical seas, and these seas covered Alberta for tens of millions of years. Many geologists suspect that the dead plankton remains created a thick blankets of ooze that fell to the bottom of the sea and then became a source for bacteria. Once the bacteria were consuming this organic ooze, they ended up removing most of the oxygen and nitrogen from this matter for their life processes of synthesis and left the carbon and hydrogen behind. And carbon and hydrogen are the main ingredients for petroleum. So, during the next 380 million years, this layer of matter was subject to heat and pressure that encouraged chemical reactions to occur, and it was trapped after layer upon layer of sediment was deposited on top, and then that sediment turned into rock. So, the hydrocarbons were then converted into liquids and trapped into the porous rock beneath it, and the fossilized remains of the ancient reefs trapped that petroleum. Now, since the rock above and below was impermeable, the petroleum had no place to go. So, just like in the Burgess Shale, when fine particles of mud are subject to geological processes, the result is impermeable rock. So, that large concentration of petroleum was trapped between two layers of impermeable shale. So, geologists use drill cores to take samples of rock to look for oil. A drill core is a cylindrical sample of subsurface rock. So we drill deep down, pull out that core, and then we can look and see how deep we find different types of layers of rock. And the analysis allows geologists to identify what rocks might be below the surface. We can also look for information about the age and environmental conditions that existed in different geological eras before. Also, seismic waves are used to determine where petroleum traps might be located. So these are waves that can travel through the earth. Geophones detect seismic waves, and then they'll convert that sound into signal. So it'll kind of draw a chart for geologists. So imagine you're one of the newest geologists with Big Moose Petroleum, and one of your jobs is to look at the records from drill core samples to look at the cross section of rocks similar to the ones below. So we want to find the ages of rocks and what might be there to determine where there could be a petroleum trap underneath, because then that's where we would drill for oil. So the petroleum traps here are shown in kind of that grayish layer as well.